Schrock Innovations presents the Midwest's #1 independent computer repair company with service centers in Lincoln, Omaha, Papillion, Des Moines, and across the country via the Schrock Desk. This is Compute This.
Good morning, folks. Welcome into Compute. It's helpful if you put the microphone in front of your face before you start the show. You know, it helps people hear what you're going to say before you say it. And, you know, if you were watching online at facebook.com/Schrock Innovations, you'll see the background has a strange red tint to it. And behind me, the natural contours of the backdrop behind me seem to form a Nazi head logo if you connect the lines in your mind. And then I'm flanked by two people who certainly aren't real Marines. They're not props at all. But, you know, the microphone, I forgot the microphone. I had everything else set up, and I forgot. Roger, will you color shift this so it's pink behind me instead of red? I appreciate that. You know, you could have a career at CNN. All right, so there's the aftershock for you guys. There is no aftershock today. I have a family commitment, so there's the aftershock in a nutshell for you. But I do want to kick off the program with one thing that I need to address. Last week during the aftershock, I take a lot of pride in bringing you guys information that is accurate, that is believable, that is genuine. And so last week during the aftershock, I was relating a story to you about a customer service hiccup that we had in the service centers. As you know, over time, I do talk about when things go wrong. I'd like to talk about when things go right, of course, but if you talk about things that went wrong and what you're doing to address them, it can inspire confidence that you actually take seriously the things that when they go wrong, right? Well, it was a weird scenario where I had two situations in my brain mixed together. So I had two separate sets of employees coming to me about two separate customers, filling me in with details. And in my head, for whatever reason, I assumed that this was one situation. So when I told the details of the story, it turns out one of the customers was actually watching the aftershock. And that customer, you know, hey, this isn't right. You're not correct. You know, those aren't the details of what happened. And then, of course, other people in the aftershock, you know, were like, you know, came to the defense, basically. I just wanted to let everybody know that I was in the wrong in that conversation. I had two situations mixed up. So the customer who was commenting was absolutely right. Situation's all resolved. It's not a problem anymore. Everybody is happy with the situation. But again, I take seriously the information that I bring you, whether it's during the show, the main radio show, or during the aftershock. And I wanted to make sure, even though there's no aftershock today, normally I would have done this correction during the aftershock, but because there is no aftershock today, I wanted to make sure I got the correction out, at least in the main program. Again, you're not going to get that on the news. They usually keep the corrections for the end of the show. Oh, and by the way, but I was worried if I did that, I might forget. I don't want to forget, as I made a promise that I wouldn't forget. All righty, folks. So welcome into the program. I appreciate you taking the time to be with us here this morning. Quick program note. As you know, Compute This airs at 7 a.m., and you can always call into the program. That's when it originally airs. It's rebroadcast at other times of the day. You can call in 7 to 8 a.m. at 888-250-2091. In Lincoln, it is delayed by a week. So we try to avoid time references and things like that. But I do want to make sure I mention to everybody that we are closed for Labor Day. The service centers will be closed. So that is this is tomorrow. We'll be closed. So we're going to be open today from noon to 5. Why is that important? Today, we are launching the final maintenance checkup of 2022. This is it. So you may have received an email from us already. We always try to give previous customers or existing customers the first bite at the apple, if you will, to get in and you know, get on the bench and get their computer maintenanced or fixed up. The maintenance checkup is something that I don't think anybody else, I mean, every computer shop has their maintenance deal. But our maintenance checkup is different because we're doing literally 8 hours of work on your computer, and normally it's $90. So 8 hours of work for $90 is a pretty good deal. I mean, it's costing me more per hour to pay the person to sit there and do the work than you're paying me for the work, for sure. However, with that said, when it's on special, it goes on sale for $59.99. So literally it's $60. $60 for 8 hours of maintenance on your computer. Now, what can you expect after a maintenance checkup? Well, number one, you should have a maintenance checkup done every 6 months on your computer. That's not us telling you that. That's PC World Magazine said that years ago when the technology was far more robust than it is now. Case in point, we had a customer come in for a core upgrade about a month ago, brought his computer back into the service center because it was acting kind of funny. Now, luckily, he did extend the warranty when he had it in. Because I talked to him. I said, listen, you're putting $675 into this computer. We should put it under warranty. You know, it makes sense, especially because the warranties are refundable. And so he did. So he comes in a month later, of course, one day after the service warranty expires on the core upgrade labor that we did, because his computer is glitchy. It's acting funny. It's, you know, and so we're like, okay, well, if this has something to do with the core upgrade, of course, we're going to take care of it for you. No big deal. We get to looking, and his hard drive, which tested perfectly healthy a month ago, is now running at 50% of the speed it was running a month ago. I have the work orders with the previous speed test, and I did the current speed test yesterday. This computer is running too slow. It needs a new hard drive. So when you have a maintenance, when you don't get maintenance every 6 months on your computer, the entire world can change in 6 months for your computer. The other things that you want to think about, number one, if you have a computer, a Schrock computer that is under warranty, you definitely want to get in on these maintenance checkups, because if there is something wrong, we're going to replace it under warranty for you every time. So yeah, every time we're going to replace it under warranty. That's not a problem. Secondly, if you purchased a hard drive or some piece of equipment from us, you have a 1-year warranty on that equipment. So if you have a hard drive, for example, that you had us put into your computer, we had another customer on the bench who had a solid state hard drive put in 6 months ago. Luck of the draw, it literally pooped out. I didn't really tell the customer everything I had to go through to get the data recovered off of that drive. But let's just say that customer is very lucky that the data recovery lab is located in the Omaha Service Center, and that Thor happens to know how to run the equipment. Because, you know, it should have been a $400 data recovery. Yes, we'll warranty the hard drive. We'll put a new hard drive in. We'll install Windows. Here you go. Happy day, sir. This hard drive, his solid state hard drive was literally a brick. And I was able to get almost a full clone off of it to the point where he won't notice. Like literally, it's a perfect clone. So those are the kind of things that maintenance on your computers can catch. Things that can change within 6 months. A lot of people say, well, if I get it in once a year, that's fine. And it's kind of like saying, if you go to the dentist once a year, you know, it's better than not going at all, right? But a lot can change with your teeth in a year. Anyone who's ever had a dental experience knows that. Like everything is fine, then suddenly it's not fine. Well, the same thing can happen with your computer, which is why it's important to have the maintenance checkup done every 6 months. So not only are we going to test the power supply, test the hard drive, test the memory, scan for viruses and malware, because even though we recommend Sophos, not everybody is running it. Some people are still running Norton. Some people are running McAfee. Some people are running nothing. And so it's important that we scan them for viruses and malware and get them cleaned up. Potentially unwanted programs are becoming a real problem, especially things like this Wave browser. There's a whole new crop of them coming out, and they're soaking up your computer's ability to think. So what's happening is the computer, it's processing all this garbage that it doesn't need to process instead of doing the things you want it to do. That manifests into your eyes as slowness. This computer is a lot slower than it was before. So that's something that's important that we can fix during maintenance. Next, we're going to do a hard drive cleanup. We're going to remove any junk files from the hard drive that don't need to be there. These are obviously not pictures from your last road trip or things along those lines. These are junk files that don't need to be there, literally. Log update files, patch uninstall files, dumb things that are just cluttering up your hard drive. Most of you at this point are now on solid state hard drives. One of the things that a lot of people don't know about solid state hard drives is the more full they get, the more likely they are to fail much more quickly. So if you have a small solid state hard drive and it's completely full, or the rule of thumb is if it's 85% full, you've got a problem. So if your hard drive is 85% full, you have a problem. If you have a 1 terabyte solid state partitioned into two 500 gigabyte partitions, and one of those partitions is 450 gigs full, you have a problem because it can't load level. It's using the same sectors over and over again, the available sectors, and it can't level that load across the whole drive. So it's going to wear out those sectors really fast. You're going to end up in the situation like the customer on my bench where their solid-state hard drive wears out way quicker than it's supposed to, because when we put it in, a 480 was plenty big. And when he came in, I don't know if he decided to take up video editing or what the deal was, but it was too full. He needed a 1 terabyte. So that was what was going on. These are the things that we catch during a maintenance checkup. Of course, we're going to make sure that your Windows version is current. I mean, here we are sitting talking about Safe Upgrade coming. Big update. 22H2 is coming. No updates on it this week. No new versions this week. They patched 18 bugs last week. They're going to release the software in like 3 weeks, guys. And they're still patching bugs. It's going to be released for Windows 11 and Windows 10. But some of you don't have the current version yet. Literally, you don't have 2.1H2. 2021 have to release last October. I saw 3 computers on the bench in Omaha yesterday that did not have that update. Why? Microsoft has deemed that the computer is too old to run the update. Is your computer too old to run the update? Of course not. You have to just go get it manually, unfortunately. Or the update's not installing for some reason, and then it has to be installed manually. So you get the gist. We're going to catch that during a maintenance checkup, and part of doing the maintenance checkup is doing all of those recommended updates, because everybody believes Microsoft installs every update that you need. That is not true. There are recommended updates that are just recommended. Unless you go click on Windows Update, then click on Recommended Updates, and then look at what's available there, you're never even going to see them. What are these updates for? These are legitimate driver updates from the manufacturers. Don't run some driver updater program. They're all garbage. Get your driver updates from Windows Update. It's super easy to do. These are BIOS updates. If your computer has hardware that is Windows 11 compatible, but you can't install Windows 11 because your BIOS is not compatible, that's a problem. Well, they release BIOS updates to fix that, guys. They install automatically. You don't even have to know how to do it anymore. It just does it. It's a beautiful thing. These aren't security patches, but these are functionality patches. We're going to install those for you during the maintenance checkup as part of the maintenance checkup. Now let's get into what we're going to fix. We're going to scan the registry. Every computer gets registry problems over time. Think about it like little flaws in the computer's DNA that add up over time to a really big cancer. If we can get rid of those flaws periodically rather than allowing them to grow into multi-thousands of issues, we can keep your registry slim and trim and tight and processing quickly. This has become more of an afterthought as processor hardware has gotten so much better. But for those of you who are on older systems or those of you who have slower processors, this is a big deal. This is a huge deal to make sure that this is optimized and running as efficiently as possible. One last thing, we used to defragment every hard drive that came in for a maintenance checkup. Once again, technology has changed. We do not defragment solid-state hard drives. You should never defragment your solid-state hard drive. It does not do anything at all to improve performance, and it actually degrades your drive. It hurts the hard drive. It's kind of like, do you sit in the driveway with your car in park and just rev the engine just to make sure it works good? I mean, I'm not talking about just a little vroom vroom. I mean, lay your foot on the gas pedal for a solid 60 seconds. Just floor it. I'm sure it's fine. That's what you're doing to your solid-state hard drive when you defragment it. It's not good for the drive. It's not advisable. And it doesn't do anything. Defragmenting the drive, the way I describe it to customers in the past is if you're reading a newspaper article and it says, please turn to page 4, column 2. And so it takes you time to flip the pages, right? And you get to the next part of the article. Now imagine there's a jump line every paragraph. That's what your data looks like on your hard drive. So when you have disks that spin and arms that move, it takes time for those spinning disks and moving arms to traverse the drive to find the bits that it needs. And we're not talking about a lot of time. We're talking about milliseconds. But, a few hundred milliseconds equals a second, and then there's a lot of stuff going on. It can make your computer run really slow. But you see, solid-state hard drives have no moving parts. They have no disks. They have no arms. Everything is instantaneous, like a flash drive. So there's no need to defragment anything. So we were not going to defragment. We've had customers like, you didn't even defrag my solid-state hard drive. Well, no, sir. I didn't shoot you in the foot either. But I guess if we're going to have a big deal about it, I'd be happy to defragment your hard drive for you. We don't do that on solid states because you don't want to do that. And then finally, we're going to make sure that all of your operating system files are intact and working properly. Way back in Windows XP, Microsoft introduced the capability into Windows for self-repair. So Windows files would go corrupt in Windows 9X, and you'd come into the service center, and we'd have to repair your operating system for you. Well, in essence, what we're doing every time you come in for a maintenance checkup is we run a command called System File Check that goes through all of your Windows operating system files and looks for any that are damaged, not working properly, or maybe have been impacted by viruses or malware. And then we repair them. We basically replace them with legit copies so that everything is working perfectly on the computer. Whew. Oh, by the way, we're also going to test your computer's memory, which takes, depending on how much memory you have, can take 4 to 8 hours. We're going to test your hard drive, not one way, but 2 different ways. We're going to do a smart test. That's what Drive Advisor does. We're also going to do a speed test because solid states slow down over time. All of them do. And if you get under a certain level, that's a bad hard drive. It's going to fail. We want to replace it before that happens. Before Drive Advisor even says, hey, this drive is starting to fail, we can get a couple predictors that will tell us if a drive is having problems that are leading you to have a bad experience with the drive. Is that not a failing piece of equipment? If you have a transmission that jumps from first gear to third gear every time you drive, but you can still get from point A to point B, do you have a bad transmission? Now, this isn't the mechanic show. I don't know anything about cars. Maybe that can't happen. I don't know. But either way, it's not good. It's not functioning as is intended, and that leads to problems. So, in a nutshell, $60 for all of that work. Now, granted, we're closed on Monday, so let's launch a sale because we're closed, right? That's awesome. Inevitably, what happens, we have 25,000 customers plus now in our database. Current customers. So we sent an email out to all of our existing customers. Many of those customers have come in already this week, or they have purchased certificates on our website. And this is something I want to point out. If you can't make it in, or maybe you were just in, maybe you just had a core upgrade done and we did all this for you before we did the core upgrade. There's no need to bring it right back in for a maintenance checkup again right now. But since this is the last time the sale is going to be offered this year, and honestly, depending on the promotional schedule next year, we don't know what Microsoft is going to do with their updates. We don't know if they're going to go back to 2, if they're going to go to 1 per quarter, or if they're going to stay at 1 per year. So we can't write next year's promotional schedule yet. So we don't know. Normally we do 1 in the spring and 1 in the fall when we can. This year, we're squeezing the 1 in the fall. We shouldn't be doing this right now because we just came off a core upgrade sale and we have a safe upgrade sale going on. There is such a thing as sale fatigue. When you're offering too many specials or too many things, and your customers, especially your core customers, are like, gee, I feel like I'm writing a check to Schrock every other day here. This is getting crazy. So normally we shouldn't be doing this, but I'm not sure we're going to have 1 in the spring. So if you were just in for a maintenance checkup, purchase a certificate. You can do this on our website at SchrockInnovations.com. Click on Shop and Specials. You can purchase a certificate. It's good for 6 months. That allows you to get in 6 months from now and have a maintenance checkup done at the sale price anytime in the next 6 months at your leisure. So 2 options to take advantage of the deal. You can come in to the service center, get it taken care of. Maybe you've got family or students in college, things like that have computers. They're going to come back for holiday break. Maybe during the holiday break, you want to bring the computer in for a maintenance check. Buy a certificate now. You can use it anytime in the next 6 months. It makes a ton of sense. In fact, a lot of people who come in for the maintenance checkup, I ask them when they're leaving, do you want to buy another one and save it for 6 months just in case we don't do the sale in the spring? Because, what if we do the sale in the spring, you don't need to buy one because you already did. And, the price isn't going to go down. I'll pretty much guarantee that. So, it's only going to go up if it goes anywhere. So you may as well lock it in now at the sale price and save yourself the money. When do you have an opportunity to do that at all anymore? So check it out, SchrockInnovations.com, where you can buy the certificate online. Of course, you can come into the service centers. All of them except Des Moines are open on Sunday from noon to 5. All the others are open from 10 in the morning until 8 in the evening, Monday through Saturday. With the exception of Labor Day, we are closed. So happy day there. Everybody gets a day off. But otherwise, maintenance checkups are on special. Make sure you take advantage of that. While you're on the website getting your maintenance certificate, if you have not purchased your copy of Safe Upgrade, I haven't looked here recently to see. I've been a little busy in the service centers here the last few days, so I haven't had the opportunity to look and see how many of these things we have left. So let's take a look real quick. I love that I can just type in Safe Upgrade Schrock into Google or to Duck, and it just takes me straight to the site here. We are down to 125. So we're not going to sell out today, but in the next couple weeks, we are going to get down into probably into the single tens, like 10, 20, 30 units remaining. So if you're not familiar with Safe Upgrade, I've already talked about it a million times. It installs this big update that's coming at the end of the month. You definitely want this. It's going to be a doozy. Make sure you check it out. Go to SchrockInnovations.com, hover over Shop, and go to Specials, and you can find both items there. Add them both to your cart. You're going to want to make sure that you get them $59.99 while it's on special. 888-250-2091. We're a little bit late for the break here. When we come back, however, I've got an important story for you. Linux users are coming under increasing attack, and I know you think you don't use Linux. You'll be surprised how many things you use that are based on Linux. We're going to tell you all about it coming up next on Compute This.
Drive Advisor is a free program from Schrock Innovations that monitors your hard drive's health and tells you if it's going bad. Download it for free at driveadvisor.com. In 1798, Eli Whitney's Connecticut Musket Factory was the first business in North America to use replaceable parts in a firearm. Before Eli's factory, if your musket broke, you had to send it away to an expert gunsmith for repairs, or just toss it and buy a new musket. Technology manufacturing has come a long way since the 18th century, but you wouldn't know it by looking at today's big box store computers. Dell, HP, Sony, and other manufacturers continue to take away your freedom to upgrade and repair your computer by eliminating expansion and repair options. Some desktops are even powered by a tiny laptop adapter. Schrock Innovations believes in Eli Whitney's idea of interchangeable and replaceable components, and that's why our custom-built modular computers last longer and cost less to repair than computers you see at big box stores. Ask your friends and family how often they replace their box store computers, and they'll probably tell you every couple of years. And what do they do with the old machines? They just get thrown out like broken muskets. Imagine a place where your computer's problems can be fixed quickly and inexpensively. Imagine keeping your computer for 6 years or more. You are imagining the kind of computers we build every day at Schrock Innovations. Our modular systems last longer, perform faster, and cost less over the long term than anything you can buy at a big box store. While the talented technicians at Schrock Innovations can't make you a musket even if they tried, our commitment to the freedom offered by modular computers is the modern-day extension of Eli's innovative musket factory. We think Eli Whitney would be proud, and you can take pride in owning a small piece of American innovation. The modular computer from Schrock Innovations. Compute This Pro Tip 843. Of all computer failures, the scariest and most expensive is the hard drive. But there are some steps you can take to save money and save your data before it's too late. Detecting failures early is important, so install a free utility like Drive Advisor from driveadvisor.com to monitor your hard drive's health and receive warnings when there's a problem. But most of all, hard drive failures happen slowly, so early detection is key to reducing the repair bill. Second, if your hard drive makes any unusual noises, immediately turn off your computer and do not turn it on again. These issues are physical problems, and the more you try to use it, the worse the damage becomes. Remember that most computer repair shops do not have the specialized equipment needed to recover data from a failed drive. Never open your drive or allow anyone else to do so. Opened drives always cost more to recover. Schrock does not charge for data recovery evaluations and quotes, so let the local pros look at your drive before you make any recovery decisions. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back into Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company. 4 locations to help you out while maintenance checkups are on special. In Omaha, 168th and Burke, just across the street from the Village Point Mall. In Lincoln, we're just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road, 7501 South 15th Street. You can see our big sign there. It's an apartment building. It's one of those mixed-use buildings where they have stores on the bottom and apartments on top. And everyone in the apartments comes to Schrock for all their tech needs, and they all want our Wi-Fi password, and we won't give it to them. In West Des Moines, Iowa, 9500 University Avenue there, the fastest growing Schrock location, adding, I think they're averaging 1 new customer a day. which is pretty phenomenal considering how many customers that store already has. But averaging one new customer every day walking in the door, that's a huge customer acquisition rate in West Des Moines, Iowa. Chris is doing an amazing job there. And also, of course, the Papillion Service Center, 84th and Highway 370 in the Midlands Place Shopping Center. Papillion is where everything gets built. So when you don't have Endeavors in the service center, because Endeavors have Ryzen 3 processors, and everyone was doing core upgrades, and that's where all the Ryzen 3 chips went, it's Papillion's fault, their fault. No, they're getting chips in now, and they're rebuilding those computers and getting those stock levels back up, because it was almost literally, we were selling so many chips, it was physically impossible to get the number of chips that we were selling. It was hand to mouth the entire month. It was crazy, but it was super fun to watch all these holiday specials. And like a couple days ago, I upgraded an X6. You may not remember the X class computers, but before our computers had cool names like Endeavor and Venture, Intrepid. Some marketing genius thought of these names that were like space shuttle names. Anyway, that's where that came from. They were called these incredibly intriguing names like the X6 and the X8 and the X4. That was like the 2012-ish era, and I upgraded that core. So Linux is coming under increasing attack, guys. And I know most of you don't run Linux, you run Windows. A few of you out there do run Linux, but Linux is also the baseline for your Mac OS, for a lot of different operating systems. A lot of your Internet of Things devices, your thermostats, things like that are all running Linux. But basically, you remember back in the day, Apple users thought they couldn't get infected because no one would target an Apple. And as a result, they became a prime target of infection because they weren't running antivirus. Linux users are in the same camp. Linux operating systems are typically run by people who feel themselves technologically equipped. As a result, they place a lot more stress on prevention of infection rather than running active defenses against it. Therefore, when they're running servers, when they're running laptops and desktops running different variants of Linux, they're less likely to patch. They're less likely to install active antivirus defenses. We can put Sophos on Linux, for example, especially Linux servers. And as a result, they're getting attacked because once they get infected, they stay infected. And typically, when you have someone in a workplace running a Linux machine, the normal IT infrastructure in most businesses is designed to support either Apple or Windows or both, but not Linux. So Linux offers a really attractive foot in the door to get into a network that you can then compromise with ransomware, for example. It's how a lot of hospitals and schools are getting infected with ransomware these days, is through a Linux entry point. In fact, the ransomware for hire guys, the people who make the software so all the script kiddies have a way to infect people and then they take a cut, well, they've made a Linux infection tool to help to be distributed by these guys who are all running Linux, so they understand how to distribute it. So if you are running a Linux system, I just wanted to throw this out there. Make sure you've got some kind of security software running. Make sure that you're staying current on your patches and you're not running outdated versions of Linux. It's super important, especially on servers. 888-250-2091. Going to take our bottom of the hour break, guys, but stay with us when we come back. There is a new USB standard that is coming that is going to offer massive upgrades. We're talking things from additional monitors over USB ports all the way down to hard drives that are twice as fast, and it's all coming in the next couple years. We're going to tell you about USB 4 2.0 because that's not confusing. Coming up next on Compute This.
Schrock Innovations Data Recovery Lab saves the data the other guys can't. The next time your hard drive, camera card, or flash drive fails, let Schrock get your data back. Every person listening to this broadcast has either experienced data loss or knows someone who has. When you think about it, you have a lot more data stored in many more places than you'd like to admit. Have you downloaded those videos from your phone, backed up the pictures on your iPad, or even tackled that sometimes daunting task of backing up your entire computer's hard drive? Most people just don't back up their stuff, and that's why Schrock Innovations has one of the most advanced data recovery centers in the Midwest. Equipped with the latest DDI data imaging devices, state-of-the-art custom recovery software, and Omaha's best data recovery technicians, Schrock Innovations has a 96.8% success rate when recovering data from damaged hard drives, flash drives, camera cards, and more. We all know we should back up our data, but if you are ever caught in a data loss nightmare, call the experts at Schrock Innovations to get your data back right where it belongs, safe and backed up on a stable hard drive. Compute This Pro Tip 578. Technology is constantly changing, so how can you tell when the time has come to recycle your old outdated computer and invest in a new one? Experts have rules of thumb and formulas, but Schrock believes the answer is simple. You should replace your old computer when it can no longer do the things you need in a secure way. For example, you should not be using operating systems like Windows XP or Vista because they're no longer maintained by Microsoft and they're not secure. And if your computer cannot run Windows 10, it's probably time to begin saving for a replacement. If your existing computer requires a repair and that cost is 50% or more of the cost of a new computer, it might be time to consider a replacement. But keep in mind, additional costs like data transfers and important software you have to upgrade like genealogy software or Quicken. And also keep in mind that modern computers are engineered to last 18 months for a normal user. And don't worry, you are considered a normal user. Schrock modular PCs and solid-state laptops are specifically designed to last 4 to 6 years for that same normal user, saving your family money and time. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Fox News, I'm Karen McHugh. Police in Tennessee make an arrest in Friday's kidnapping of 34-year-old mom Eliza Fletcher. The hunt for her, meanwhile, continues.
The Memphis Police Department announcing the arrest of one person in connection with the kidnapping of missing teacher Eliza Fletcher. Cleophas Abston was arrested and charged with especially aggravated kidnapping and tampering with evidence following Fletcher's mysterious disappearance Friday. The arrest coming after police found the SUV they were looking for in connection to the kidnapping after it was reportedly involved in a crash with an ATF vehicle nearby.
Fox's Jackie Ibanez, Fletcher's grandfather, was the founder of a multi-billion-dollar hardware company. Labor Day motorists getting a break this holiday weekend as AAA reports the average price for a gallon of gas has gone down to $3.79 from an early summertime high of at or above $5. America is listening to Fox News.
Now, the News Radio 1110 KFAB Weather Watch.
A very pleasant holiday weekend continues with sunshine and a high around 79 this afternoon. Clear 62 overnight tonight. Labor Day Monday, sunshine with a high of 83, and then Tuesday, sunny and a high of around 86. There's your 3-day forecast. I'm Roger Olson.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back into Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company. We're here to help you out with your technology needs. Maintenance checkups are currently on special in all service centers. You can bring your computer in today, or we're going to be closed Monday for Labor Day. So Labor Day, we're going to be closed. But you can bring your computer in today. You can also get a certificate on our website at SchrockInnovations.com. Click on Shop and Specials. You can find the maintenance checkup there on special for $59.99. Normally it's $90, so it's a pretty significant discount. Also, right next to it is the Safe Upgrade 22H2 update that you can purchase there as well. Only 125 of the original 600 of those are remaining. Like I said, we got a few weeks left here, but we always sell out of these things. Procrastinators, be procrastinating, and it will happen. At the last week before we think the update's going to land, all of a sudden everyone's going to get real serious. And they're like, wait, I need a copy. And we just literally tell them to watch the website. And if one becomes, as people use them, they become available again on the website. So, you know, if 50 people successfully install the update, then there's 50 licenses and you can buy one now. But literally, if you're worried about it installing on day one automatically on your computer and you know, bricking your technology, which is a distinct possibility, you know, you're just out of luck if you don't have one. So don't put off grabbing those if you can help it. 888-250-2091 is the number to join us on the program. Of course, as we do every week, if you call in, ask a question, or make a comment, we'll put you in the drawing for a $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate. Also want to say hi to everybody watching right now at facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. We got Randy and Mary, Karen, Roger here. We got multiple Rogers. There's always a lot of Rogers. Roger. Greg Winston's here. Good audio. Thank you. I appreciate that. Mitch has been in the hospital. We hope you're feeling better, Mitch. You know, stick with us there. Mitch is a long-time listener. Aaron's still in the rehab facility there. We're praying for you too, Aaron. So everybody, welcome aboard. We appreciate you being here and watching at facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. 888-250-2091 is the number to join us on the program today. Now, this is going to get a little in the weeds, so I'm going to try to clean this up so it's not so techy. But we all know what a USB port is. It's been around forever. USB stands for Universal Serial Bus. It was introduced in Windows XP, and what it does is it gives you one interface to hook up a multitude of devices that normally would have had to hook up through COM ports or LPT ports, or we had all these different ports back in the day. Well, then that was all reduced down to a USB port. Now with a USB port, you can hook up a monitor in some cases, an external monitor. You can hook up a network card. You can have a little, like a network interface card for your laptop that just is a USB plug. It's a dongle, plugs right in. There's all kind of course, there's cameras and GoPros and the camera I'm broadcasting right now at facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. The audio, what else? The audio, the camera. There's a third plug. Oh, and the network cable, all carried through one USB port on my laptop. Now, would that have been possible back in Windows XP era? Or excuse me, I said XP. I apologize. It was introduced in Windows 95. Would it have been possible to do all of this in Windows 95? And the answer is no, because USB 1.0 was slow. It was very slow. But then again, everything on the computer was very slow back then, so it fit right in. Well, then we got USB 2.0. How can you tell the ports apart? You can't. They look exactly the same. Some of them are 2, some of them are 1. That's a problem. Well, then all of a sudden, we got USB 3.0. Then things started to get interesting. You had some blue ports on the front of your computer. The blue ports on the front and the back of your computer are faster than the black ports. So if you have a wireless keyboard or mouse, you plug those into the black ports. Anything you're not concerned about speed, plug that into the black ports. You have an external hard drive or a webcam or something you want to be really fast, you plug those into the blue ports. That's how it works, right? Well, then it started to get even more complicated. Now we have, instead of USB 3, we have 3.1 and 3.2. We have passive and we have active cables now. We have USB-C, which is actually USB 3 with a different connector on the end. So it starts to get a little confusing in the weeds here as we progress through. So what you need to know is that USB-C, those little oval ports, that is the future of the USB port. That is where everything is going to go eventually. So your iPhones are going to charge from these. Your iPads already charge from these. Your Android phones are all going to charge from these, especially because Europe has mandated that all gadgets that have any charging ports whatsoever will use USB-C. They're trying to reduce the number of chargers and cables and things like that. Now, here's the problem. When my son and I went to Vegas, my phone was dying, and we were Ubering all over the place, so I needed a battery, and I didn't have a backup battery with me, and I wanted to buy just a cheapo battery, which you can't just buy a cheapo battery. You have to go to like the stand, and you get like a battery that would normally cost you $4 to buy on Amazon is $69.99. And so you buy it, right? And it comes with a cable, and the cable is thin and it charges your phone, right? Wrong. Doesn't work. Whole thing didn't work for my phone. Not at all, because my phone requires an active cable. Passive USB-C cables won't work. So there are different grades of USB-C cables. And if you use the wrong USB-C cable for the wrong application, your device may not work. You can damage your devices, everything else. Now this is going to get even more complex, because now there's going to be a new version of USB. It's going to be USB 4 version 2.0. So yeah, because now there's going to be a USB 2 and USB 2.0, but which 2.0 is better than 3.1. So go figure that out. Like I said, it's going to get confusing. So they realize this, so they're going to call it 80 gigabit. So it's USB 80 gigabit, because that's how fast the communication is. Most people who have internet connections, your internet connection isn't this fast. So this is something that's going to be faster. 80 gigabits a second. If you have 1 gigabit internet, you're fast. You're like the fastest you can get, unless you're on fiber. This is 80 gigabit. It's that fast. It will allow you to hook up external monitors to laptops directly through a USB cable with no dongle. It'll allow you to hook up all kinds of devices that previously you couldn't really hook up to a computer through a USB port because the data speeds just weren't fast enough. That's all going to change. It's also going to increase the rate of power delivery. So now, rather than having an external monitor that is powered from a power plug and fed through a connection to a computer, you could maybe have one cable, one USB-C cable that does everything. It runs the monitor, delivers the signal, the whole Anchorito. This is all coming. It's going to take a couple years. The standard's been out for a while. Basically, it's been finalized now. The standard is final, which means you're going to start to see it coming out on high-end gaming motherboards probably next year. And then eventually, of course, it will filter down to everybody in about 2 years. And of course, it's backward compatible. So you're going to see a lot of backward compatibility. You're still going to have regular USB-A ports on motherboards because a lot of people have webcams and other devices that have standard printers that have standard USB connections. But everything that's new is going to be based on the USB-C infrastructure. So you're going to see fewer USB-A ports and more USB-C ports. And these ports are going to be far faster and far more reliable and much more powerful than any USB port you've ever had on a computer before. Something to look forward to in the coming years. 888-250-2091. Joe, welcome to the program. How can I help you on Compute This today?
Good morning. I have a Windows Alienware computer, a couple years old, running Windows 11 Home. Recently, the cursor got a mind of its own and just wanders around the screen. And, it's possessed. And I bought a new mouse. That didn't help. I upgraded the drivers, or so I thought. That didn't help. I unplugged the mice altogether, and it still wanders, so
Gotcha.
I don't know.
It's a laptop, you said, right?
No, it's desktop.
Oh, I thought for some reason you were saying it was a laptop. So the cursor is moving even though there is no mouse device even plugged into the computer.
Exactly.
What are you running for antivirus on that computer?
Sophos.
All right, so we know you're clean. So it's not viruses or malware, and it's not if you unplug the mouse, the cursor still moves.
Yes.
That's obviously not supposed to happen. So I'm at a bit of a loss. You know what? Here's what I would suggest. One of the things that we do, as I mentioned during the maintenance checkup, is we're going to run a repair on all of your Windows operating system files. We're going to ensure that they're all installed properly and working the way they're supposed to. You've already taken care of the drivers, and it wasn't the drivers. And I can promise you, if you bring that in for a maintenance checkup, it's going to drive the guys crazy that it's moving around on its own. They're going to figure out why, because it's just going to – the people that we have working for us, they can't accept unknowns. Like I have a hard drive in Omaha that when you clone it, it doesn't boot. The clone is perfect. Cloned it with 2 different applications, sector by sector clone. Perfect clone. Won't boot off the new drive. Why? Whoa. Well, that's driving them crazy. I have a guy coming in today to work off the clock because he wants to figure out why that's happening. So it's pretty crazy. But I would suggest you get that in for a maintenance check and let us take a look at what's going on, because that obviously is not supposed to happen. If you have Sophos installed, we know it's not viruses or malware. But all the same, during the maintenance checkup, even if you have Sophos installed, we run malware checks because it always pays to be cautious. You don't want to have a single point of failure. We trust Sophos, but we verify. We always want to make sure it's working. But that's what I would suggest, because I can't think of a reason off the top of my head when you don't physically have a mouse plugged in at all, that cursor should not be moving. So there's something going on that shouldn't be happening there, and we need to track that down for you.
Well, it's like it has a permanent jiggler, and if you have the mouse installed, you can move the cursor with the mouse, but it never stays where you want it to.
It just drifts. So does it always drift at the same rate in the same direction?
Not the same rate, but it travels around, and it's interesting to watch. But
oh my goodness. Yeah, you open up Microsoft Paint and select the pencil tool and let it draw. Maybe it's trying to tell you something.
Maybe it is drawing a picture.
Bring that in. I'm very curious. I want to figure out what's causing that, because I can't think of a single thing off the top of my head that would cause a mouse pointer to wander about the screen with no mouse plugged into the computer. Does not make any sense at all.
Well, I used to live in Papillion, but now I'm in the mountains of East Tennessee, so it's a bit of a hike.
Difficult. That's a little
Yeah,
difficult.
So I don't know.
Well, if you wanted to, we'd be happy to take a look at it over the Schrock desk. The Schrock Desk is our online support option. It costs the same per hour as bringing it into the service center, but we might be able to address it over the Schrock Desk and figure out what's going on and get it corrected that way for you. I don't know what the computer repair landscape of Tennessee looks like. If there's a shop like us out there, I haven't. Maybe we need to do a fact-finding mission to Tennessee. Some people call that a vacation. I call it a fact-finding mission to scout out competition and potential new locations.
Well, you can open a branch here. There's no income tax, so you'll save zillions.
We open a corporate headquarters there. Oh, my goodness.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you for the call, Joe. I appreciate you joining us on the program today. We'd also have you in the drawing for that $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate. I know you don't live nearby anymore, but if you did decide to use the Schrock Desk, you could definitely apply it toward that if you win. 888-250-2091. We're going to take our final break of the program here, guys. When we come back, Apple is taking some unprecedented steps and doing some one-off patches of old Apple devices. We're going to tell you why you need to install these patches on your old Apple gear. Also, I know that all of you have TikTok accounts. Everybody listening probably has it. You're probably making a TikTok right now. You're probably doing a challenge. Maybe you're eating a Tide Pod, or maybe you're stealing a Hyundai. That's the most recent challenge. How to steal a Hyundai with a USB charger. Literally, you can start it with a USB charger. Oops. Maybe you're on TikTok right now, but if you're on Android and you have TikTok installed, which I'm joking, you guys don't have TikTok installed, but your kids do, and your friends might, or maybe you do. If you do have TikTok installed and you're on an Android device, there is an important update you need to install right away to avoid somebody on TikTok from taking complete control of your device and doing anything they want. Did I mention that TikTok is owned by a Chinese Communist Party company? Install this patch. We're going to tell you all about it coming up next on Compute This.
Schrock Innovations repair technicians also make house calls. Make an appointment and let us bring our award-winning computer support right to your home or business.
Remember the good old days when virus detection worked like Where's Waldo? Spot the virus in the striped shirt and you win. Today's infections are changing hourly to avoid detection and use social engineering to trick you into making mistakes. Using yesterday's security to defend against today's threats is like using leeches to stop an infection. It just doesn't work. We recommend Sophos Intercept X antivirus backed by Schrock's virus-free guarantee. Sophos uses the power of AI to detect the patterns of a virus attack and responds with Schrock's custom actions that stop it fast. With Sophos on your PC, Mac, Android, or iOS device, you get the state-of-the-art protection you need to defend against the most advanced attacks out there. In fact, if your device gets a virus while running Sophos antivirus, Schrock will remove it for free, guaranteed. It hasn't happened yet, and we intend to keep it that way. Ditch your dad's antivirus and keep your device, data, and identity safe with Sophos and Schrock Innovations.
Compute This Pro Tip 178. Those little life-saving surge protector strips are vital to your computer's health and should be used whenever possible, even for laptops. As computers get smaller and more powerful, they're also becoming more sensitive to dirty power, and your power is a lot dirtier than you might think. Even if you have a whole home surge protection, most power surges are generated within your own home. If you've ever vacuumed and seen the lights get dimmer and brighter, you created a surge. Surge protectors can only absorb so much energy measured in joules. When that capacity is exhausted, your surge protector becomes a glorified extension cord and needs to be replaced. You should always look for surge protectors that give audible alerts when they're no longer able to protect your equipment. Schrock recommends these because the lights on most strips are just power lights and they don't tell you when it's time to replace the unit. If in doubt, replace your surge protectors annually to keep your expensive TVs, computers, and other electronic equipment safe. This pro tip is brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back in. In the interest of full transparency, I was informed by a customer in the Omaha Service Center yesterday that I am fatter than I look at facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. And then in a separate sentence of the conversation, he also noticed that apparently I'm shorter than I look when you see me in person. So he wasn't really sure it was Thor. I was sporting a 2-day scrub as well, on the I shave for the show, make sure I'm nice and so fresh and so clean here. But yeah, so if you see me in the service centers, expect a slightly rounder, slightly shorter person than you see on Facebook. I don't know if Facebook is purposefully distorting me or if it was just because I ate a lot of peanut butter cups that day. Who knows? Who knows why? 888-250-2091. So if you have an Apple device, an older Apple device, and I know a lot of you out there do this, I'm talking like iPhone or something running iOS 12. So this would be a very old Apple device. You probably have replaced a battery in it if it's this old. Apple's released an important security update for the iPhone 5S, the iPhone 6, and older iPads to address two flaws affecting iOS 15 that also affect iOS 12. Apple rolled out this fix that brings a patch for a remote code execution flaw. The update is available for iPhone 5S, iPhone 6, iPhone 6 Plus, iPad Air, iPad Mini 2, iPad Mini 3, the iPad Touch 6th generation. It's also it is a very rare patch for iOS 12. The last time these models were updated was September of 2021, and none of them can be upgraded to the current version of iOS. They're all dead devices. So if you have one of these devices, it's important you install this update, because if you don't, somebody could take complete control of your Apple device. Along similar lines, there is a bug in there was a bug in TikTok. Microsoft, TikTok has a bug bounty program. This is kind of funny. All these companies have bug bounty programs. Google has them. Microsoft has them. Apparently, ByteDance, TikTok's parent company, has them as well. And Microsoft discovered a bug in TikTok and reported it to ByteDance to claim the reward for discovering the bug. So I don't know if like the guy that found it gets the money as like a bonus, or if Microsoft has like an income line on their income statement that's like, bug bounties collected. But Microsoft found this bug in the Android TikTok app. So first of all, if you're running an iPhone, this doesn't impact you. Secondly, if you're not using TikTok, if it's not installed on your device, this doesn't impact you. Don't use TikTok. It still could be installed on your device. It's installed by default on many devices, including new Windows 11 computers. So you may have TikTok and not actually use TikTok. So you can uninstall it if you do have it in most cases and you don't use it. But if you do have it, it's important to install this update. Make sure your TikTok app is updated if you're using the app on an Android device, because Microsoft has detailed a high-severity flaw in the TikTok Android app that could have allowed an attacker to hijack an account when users click on a link. So in other words, you tap on one link, and they can hijack your TikTok account. Why would that be important? Well, of course, when you hijack someone's TikTok account, you can delete their content, you can hold their content hostage, you can change their password, you can do any number of things to make their lives miserable. You can post fake content to a TikTok account. You could, you could use it for Russian disinformation. That's right. Because that's the only country on the planet that has any disinformation. It's just Russia. All disinformation. Just Russian disinformation campaign is ridiculous. And they use TikTok as well. The bug is now assigned an identifier that's really big and long, and I'm not going to read it. While the bug is patched, is fixed, Microsoft is urging all TikTok users on Android to update their app to the latest version. It's a nasty flaw in JavaScript that is exploited in the web view component that allows the TikTok app to pull in information from the web. In other words, TikToks, the videos. It's a core function of the app that has been patched. So basically, this impacts all Android installations of TikTok. There's two different versions of the app, one for Asia, one for the rest of the world. You can imagine why there's a difference from the Chinese-owned company, but both versions were impacted identically because this is part of the core code. So if you are using TikTok, which, TikTok is really is a cultural phenomenon. They really caught fire. Instagram, that's where Instagram Reels came from. Instagram wants to be TikTok. And so they went from a photo sharing platform where you got to put a photo up and a nice little piffy comment to you have to put all this work in to make a reel now and make a video and post the video and put words and sparkles and everything else on your video to make people watch it, because that's what Instagram thinks people want to do. Rather than Instagram just being different, they want to be TikTok. TikTok was a threat, so they're trying to be TikTok, to offer the same functionality as TikTok users have in TikTok. Of course, TikTok is owned by ByteDance, which is a Chinese-based company, which any Chinese-based company is under the direct control of the Chinese Communist Party. There is no exception. There is no rule. Maybe they're not under the immediate thumb, but they can be put under the thumb in a moment's notice, and it's completely within the laws of China to do so. 888-250-2091. Carolyn, welcome to the program. How can I help you on Compute This today?
Hi, Thor. It's Carolyn in Round Rock, Texas.
Hey, Carolyn, how are you?
I'm doing great. I have a couple of questions about the safe upgrade.
Yes, ma'am.
I bought 4 last week.
I saw that.
2 for my daughter at my daughter's house and 2 for mine. One of mine at my house, I cannot get it to upgrade to 2. It's at 21H1, and I can't get it to upgrade. What is that going to do to, since I can't get it to go to 21H2, what's going to happen now?
Well, it will. So basically the updates, you can go, so for example, in the service center, it's the weirdest thing. I had a computer that came in for a core upgrade that was running Windows 8.1, and they wanted to go to Windows 11. So, wow, they had to buy a license for Windows 10. Then we had to upgrade them from 8.1 to 10. Then we had to upgrade that from 10 to 11. It was a lot of upgrading. And when I put in my Windows 10 install disk for, the 21H2 Windows 10 install, it failed every time I ran it because it was too new. It wouldn't upgrade the Windows 8 computer. I had to go back and get an original DVD, like an installation DVD, to upgrade that computer. So when you get the 22H2 update, they are cumulative. So you don't have to install them sequentially. You can skip. And so when you get 22H2, just install that, and it'll bring you current.
Okay. The other question is, the other 2 computers are at my daughter's house. How is that going to work? How am I going to get them to upgrade? Do I have to go over there and sign in?
She'll need to sign into your Schrock account. So basically, she'll sign in, and you have 4 licenses in your account. You can run it on 4 different computers. Doesn't matter where those computers are at geographically, but she will need your Schrock password to sign in. Thank you, Carolyn. I appreciate the call here. Robert, stay on the line. I got you in the drawing. I'll take your call off air. Congratulations, Joe. You're the winner of the $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate. Closed tomorrow on Monday for Labor Day, but we'll see you next weekend for another edition of Compute This.
From the Amish Furniture of Nebraska studio, your home for made in the USA furniture. This is News Radio 11.